Hello, we are here. We're talking about what book is this, guys? We just talked about it. The Sixth World Companion. Um,
Seattle edition.
Can't go without it. That's why it's the companion.
I hate everything you just said, but I guess that's true. Um, um, Overall, it's a very, very nice book. I don't think I've ever seen a book that changes Shadowrun so much. Besides going to a new edition. But as an edition companion book, I think it is something that 6th edition was heavily needing. Um, but very, very good for it. What are you guys' initial thoughts about the book before we start diving in on some of the specifics?
It's from the original. It's basically like it's the same book, but like kind of they changed things for the better. So it's like, right?
No, you're
Are you thinking
thinking
of the
of the
Seattle?
Seattle. You're thinking of the Seattle
Oh, so
core
this is
rule
just the
book.
edition.
Yeah, this is just the Six World Companion book that had like the new sprite or the new meta
Oh no,
types and stuff like
I was
that.
thinking of a different book.
The alternate rules, which is
Exactly.
what my favorite part of it. Because it really, like you said, it changes a lot, but all of it's pretty much optional.
Hmm.
Besides the extra stuff, but the rules that it changes, they didn't add errata or fix anything per se. They just gave alternate rules for different playstyles. Um, One of the probably cooler features is they made an option for the edge system to be simplified if you're more into the 5th edition style. So they kind of added a lot of alternate rules to bridge the gap between 5th edition and 6th edition. And I think they added some really other cool alternate rules like the spirit gates.
Spirit Gates was a really good one. I also really liked what they did with strength and how they made strength actually viable to put some points into instead of just like, oh, well, I'm just going to keep my strength at a 1 or a 2 if you're a sane human being. But yeah. Any other thoughts, JJ, before going on?
I'm interested to hear about it because I now realize I read the wrong book.
Choice. All right. As our podcast format goes, I'm ready for it.
We'll just start at the table of contents.
Exactly. Starting at the table of contents, we're gonna look over what everything actually in here. No. So, I know a big thing also they added in here was life path, which is just a different way to build a character, which is I thought was really really cool. Sort of like where you were. It was sort of similar to backgrounds in D&D 5th edition, where it helps build out your character, the reasons why they may be good at something, which I thought was really cool. I think a very underutilized portion of this book will probably be the Shadowrun starter packs. And they are just item equipment bags similar to D&D's like item bags where it just has all the stuff you would need for your role. And he's like, here, you buy this bag. Here's how much new unit costs. There.
Yeah.
Items
Yeah,
are
thanks
done.
for reminding me about that because I forgot all about those because they really are. I don't think they're like you don't get like a package bulk deal or anything. I think the new yen all adds it up, but it's really good for new players that just don't know what to buy.
Yeah, and it's because it actually goes into it tells you like what the essence cost is. Like I'm looking at the Decker one, and it's like 275,000 Nuyen overall. And it's
Yeah.
like this pack goes for deckers who don't know how to max out their resources. It gives you recommended skills. It gives which starter pack to get, which augmentation you should get, cyber deck, software, weapons, armor, other gear that you should have in that role, vehicles, fake licenses, lifestyle
Yeah, so
suggestions. It's insane.
if you just wanted to grab a character and go, it's all you need. I think it does because it tells you your maybe not your priorities to get those, but
No, it does not give you the priorities for it, but I think it's a huge step in the correct direction, especially if you have no idea what to do about anything. It's
I mean,
really
I think
good.
it's as a DM on the side. I think that's fucking fantastic. Because now if I get all my friends who are like, "Can you DM my D&D session?" I'm like, how about just about any other game? I'm kind of sick of that one. How about, I love this game called Shadowrun, and then like I begin to explain it to them, like, all right, how do we start? And I'm like, all right, well, you have about 4 hours. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we have to build you a kit. You need to worry about how many magazines you got. I also need you to worry about how many bullets you're carrying. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you also have
Yeah.
to buy a car and an ID. You also need a credit card. What the fuck?
Yeah, it can be very, very daunting, but the packs simplify that tremendously. I do enjoy that. I mean, it's still a pain in the butt. I know Donnie and I were talking, I think yesterday or this morning, about priority table. How it's really, really bad if you're brand new to the system, because it's easy to mess up a character and then you just are useless for most of the campaign until you get like really deep into it, and then you fix your character with karma. But if you're really, really used to it or spend a lot of time looking at the priority table, it's really easy to manipulate it in a way that's really, really beneficial to you if you know how to.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the priority table, and I get it, and I kind of like it for what it's for, but for me, I'm a tweaker, and when I tweak one thing in the priority table character building rules, it kind of snowballs, and now I have to adjust this priority or something, or whatever I traded karma for, which snowballs now because I've already spent karma on money. It's just a whole thing, and I'm always tweaking, and it takes me forever to build a karma or a character because I can't help but maximize my new yin to karma spent on a character.
That's fair.
So I think they also have sum to 10 and point buy systems.
Yes. Which
You
I
know, those are
actually
popular.
didn't look at a point buy system. I've used sum to 10 before. There was an old Shadowrun community that I was a part of, and you could use sum to 10 if you wanted to, which is interesting. So, like, instead of A, B, C, D, E, you could take, like, A, C, C, E, E, and it still adds up to 10.
Yeah, it's like each letter has a numeric
Value, correct. Which I think it's an interesting way to do it. But I also almost feel like it hinders compared to using priority table in a lot of cases. Just because, like, if you're stuck with 2E, like, if you think about it, like, okay, it's probably good if you're mundane, because then you don't have to worry about magic at all, so you just toss magic in E. But, like, what other stat do you want to put in E so badly to get a slightly better D?
I've always played magical characters, so Negan to me has never been that important.
That's
so
fair.
Resources. So for me, that'd be easy. I would just do resources E. But then you couldn't be magic. You could do magic E, but then I'm just at the normal table.
Exactly. It's very hard. It's really only, I feel like, good if you're a street Sam, because you could put like magic E and then meta type E, and then you have A for resources, and then C and C for skills and attributes, and then maybe
really
that's
good for a face.
Yeah, it also could be good.
That doesn't need to buy a bunch of Bioware if they don't want to.
Yeah, it's definitely an option, which is interesting. There's a ton of new. There's quite a few different. I don't want to say a ton, but different metatypes or metasapients are now in here. So we have all sorts of goodies. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here. I know there's Sprite.
I think so. Most of these are from, well, not from, but they're also in 5th edition.
Also in 5th edition, right? Yeah.
I think they added a few new ones. Don't remember what they were. Maybe not. Definitely not pixies. Where are
Dying to hear about it because I didn't read it.
I think it was Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Instead of it being a metasapient, though, it was a meta variant in 5th edition. It was a troll meta variant. Instead of being it's in their own, exactly. Same with centaurs, who are also a troll meta variant. But I don't think I've heard of the Marrow. I think Marrow might be one that is new to 6th edition. I need to look up and see what the Marrow is.
back on that resource thing, also, just like I was talking about earlier, you have the complete opposite. Almost all of my characters where I go A resources and I still don't have enough. Just like, how the drones coming? I'm like, well, I've spent all my money. I have 2.
And I always think, well, I can get New later, but karma is like forever.
I have played with Josh enough to know that if I want something big, it's gonna have to be out the gate. That man is like, hey, so you're gonna be stuck in, the Sahara Desert for a while. You're gonna do all these missions. Like, all right, well, how much money did I make? He's like, oh, you were just trying to survive. I'm like, so I made no money. They're like, but you're alive. And I'm like, I need bombs.
It's weird how balancing works.
You can just put it all on roulette.
Let's do that again. Let's go and break the game for Josh again.
Yeah, it only got you guys a nuke. That's fine.
It's kind of a cheap nuke, thinking about it.
It was. It was also a very illegal nuke that someone probably didn't want their hands on anymore.
Josh goes, we're wrapping up the show, and I goes, I got a great way to jump that shark.
But the Marrow is actually a marine species with a somewhat orc-like upper torso and ornate fins. So it's like a water orc by the sound of it, which is very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's super cool. It looks like they have really slow movement on the ground, though.
Yeah, they do. They are definitely...
So they're mermaid.
Yeah, sort of. It almost looks like an orcish mermaid.
Interesting. I already had a character in mind, and I stuck with it. And my character that we're going to play soon is a human. But then these meta variants all came out, and I was like, oh, this is really tough to play a human. It's the worst time in the world of the 6th world to play human.
I was actually very interested to see if someone plays Pixie, because they already have ordained magic, and they can just turn invisible.
They're super small, but all the metasapiens are dual-natured.
Yeah.
So
I should have just completely wasted my resources and be like, I'm going to be a pixie, not magical at all.
Right.
Just drones.
But then that'd be a waste on the priority table, because you'd have to at least have a D on magic.
Yeah.
Okay. Might as well go ahead and hinder myself now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd actually be a lot of fun to be like a pixie adept, like a physical adept. So you just walk around and be invisible and just start beating the crap out of people.
Yeah, just dump your strength.
Yeah.
Since your max is 2 anyway. A point about that: if your max strength is 2 and you put it at 2, you can't put any other attribute at max.
It's true. You have to keep it at 1, unless you get exceptional attribute, which you might take for a pixie.
Yeah.
But that still seems real bad. In a body of 3?
Yeah. So and 3 is really important because your health tracker rounds up.
Right.
So your body divided by 2 rounded up. Exactly. So if you have a 3, it's the same as a 4. A little min-maxing tip for you.
It's true. But also they can fly, which is interesting enough. Astral perception. And they have a medium allergy to iron.
So would that be contact if you were... So say you're an adept, pixie, and you punch someone in the face and they get a little bit of blood on you. Blood has iron on it. You think that's enough to trigger an allergy?
If it was a severe allergy, I would probably say yeah. But if it's
in your eye.
Yeah, if it's in your eye or in your mouth, it's probably going to be...
You're a small creature, so...
Right, it's got to go somewhere. No, I probably wouldn't go that far with it. It'd probably be like, hey, I get hit with like an iron weapon. Or I decide to walk into an iron building. I'm just going to be miserable.
Yeah. I got smashed over the head with a tire iron.
Exactly. Which is actually quite impressive, because pixies are so small anyways. Like, being hit with a tire iron is actually an impressive feat of its own.
Yeah.
Realistically, but actual rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Be like, dice says you only rolled fucking 2 for dodge.
It's true.
Yeah. You rolled 5.
But can we talk about the Sasquatch's body and strength of 10?
If you want to talk about body, go to the troll variants. 10.
I want to say 10 is the hardest one I've seen.
So where's the minus, other than being a hairy freak?
You're dual natured. Everything
Yeah.
else is at a 6 besides those, so there's no real negative to being Sasquatch.
Nope, you're just yeah, mimicry. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
But
you can.
also, you got to keep in mind all of these variants, even like the not magical ones, cost karma.
Yeah, they
Gotta be
cost karma
used.
to be.
Okay, so that is the downside. Okay, I was
Yeah,
like, there's
so
no way. You're like, so I'm Sasquatch. I've maxed out my strength.
right,
I can
it costs.
fly.
It's not a big karma cost. It's a Sasquatch's karma 10,
Yeah.
If
but
anything,
you
that's
also
kind of
get
good.
more. You also get more adjustment points for your meta type priority.
Yeah, because you have to have a higher priority just to pick it in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
I mean, I always have a problem with like karma, anyways, because I'm not like you, where I'm like spend karma on this. I'm usually just kind of like all right, I've got what 8 karma. Okay, let's find a negative karma or a positive karma. Okay, this one's 7. All right, 1 left. Whatever, fuck it.
I'm like, how can I squeeze all the juice out of this karma?
um,
I do have one gripe about the meta variants. This goes
yes.
back to the hate crimes against humans.
Mm.
Humans had one thing, and that was edge max of 7. Uh, some of these, several of these meta variants, the Wakambi, which is an elf variant, has a max of 7. I guess that's it. But I'm a little salty about it. Elves have enough. All right.
What's so special about it? Like, what's the difference between that and a normal elf?
Oh, every race has a max edge of 6, except for humans. They have a max edge of 7.
I know.
This elf variant.
Lore-wise, what is a Abercrombie and Fitch elf? What is that?
Oh, I think it's an elf from like Japan. I know it's
just
more of
an
a
Asian elf.
Eastern Asian elf. It's a variant. I don't know.
Let's look
Let's
it up.
find out.
Let's look it up. Most isolated mare variant at this point, they possess the same low light vision as elves and longevity well, but they're honorable for their height. Most hit about the same 3-meter height as trolls do. Most have a dark skin and tightly curled hair, common in Africa. There are now 2 confirmed individuals in albinism. Yep, more disposed to magical abilities than most metatypes.
So African elves.
So
not
Africa.
not Asian.
I was thinking of there's a human variant which I thought was really interesting. There's a couple of human variants, but one of them was location dependent, like all the other meta variants.
But
Trying
the
to find
big
that one
thing
out.
about them is they use no combustible fuse and produce no toxic waste sites. So they are very, very, like, against using any sort of gas to drive around anywhere or fly or use any sort of boat unless it's natural. They are very, very for the earth and try to fix what damage we've caused in the Styx world.
Yeah, that'd be good, like druid type character.
Yep.
So no wonder that nobody knows about them. I'm sure they've been pushed like utter rock. You can shut up.
You can
don't need to come
which makes
Yeah.
sense because they are the most isolated of all.
So
on.
the two human variants, there's the Valkyrie, which
Mhm.
was really cool, and the Natarki, which is like a Shiva with like up to 6 arms.
That's a human variant.
Yep.
A human variant.
The X-Men.
They are just sort of all over the place, and I'm so ready for it because it's so nice, like, to have the stuff from 5th edition that we had now be available in 6th edition, because that was my biggest gripe with 6th edition was like there's different stories, there's different characters I wanted to build, but it was just none of it was available unless you wanted to homebrew it, which is just a pain in the butt on its own, as we've found out from different things we've done. But I'm very happy to see that they're in there. You can now, something like that happened to Konami with Surging is now available, where we had to homebrew that as well to make Konami from Street Stamen to Adept. You could just now sort of do that, thanks to this book, which is very, very cool.
Basically, like a form of initiation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do that as a mundane. You can initiate to increase your essence, which allows you to get more Bioware.
Exactly.
What's the coolest new optional rules you guys have seen for combat?
Strength.
My biggest thing is that you can use like strength. Higher strength means you have a higher recoil. Recoil
that's-
control, so you get more
That makes
accurate.
more
Like
sense.
exactly.
Yeah. They basically have 3 strength rules. That's one of them is recoil. One of them you can use strength instead of agility for
Attacking.
attack rating, and then there's another one that the higher your strength, the more damage you deal with close combat.
Yes.
All things that I don't see why weren't always forever.
It was. Go ahead.
I was just asking, like, how exactly the math works for the recoil and strength.
It's tiered. It's like if you have strength, I'm not sure. I'm just gonna make up a number, but it's like if you have strength 4, you get +1 to your attack rating for reduced recoil, and if you have strength 6, it's +2. It's something like that.
Let's see. Okay, I'm looking it up right now. Rolling
And I think
strength
those
instead of
were
agility for close combat skills. High strength adds to damage, so
Is that for melee?
if your strength is at least 7, increase your damage value by 1. If your strength is 10 or higher, increase damage value by 2. Just flat base damage increase, which is insanely cool to see. Now it gives me a reason to go play a troll that has 10 strength or a Sasquatch that has 10 strength compared to a pixie, because now my damage actually means something for close combat.
Yeah.
Which
your
I'm
pixie with 8 agility and 1 strength now won't necessarily do more damage than your troll with 10 strength.
right, especially now that you can use strength instead of agility for close combat as well to roll dice for, which is insane as well. And then recoil. AR penalties for firing modes are lessened by 1 if the attacker strength is 7 or higher, or 2 if it's 10 or higher.
Oh, so it's just like your edge, your attack rating.
Yep, attack rating. Yep, but both hands must be used to control the firearm. A lot of these are, if you want the increased damage, it has to be two-handed, which I'm all for putting that extra oomph into it and sort of like a requirement. I'm not sure if that is the same for weapon damage.
That
Yeah.
wouldn't make any sense.
The rule is the alternate rule is if you put more oomph in it, like using 2 hands. It's not like a hard rule.
Right.
Or you have a blunt weapon or something where having a high strength would increase your damage, then you can use strength for your attack test, but you use agility for your attack rating. So you swap it. Because normally close combat strength goes to your attack rating. So that's all it does is swap it. Which I think is a fair trade-off. That way you have to have both still.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, you're giving your opponent edge, which is as good as damage. That's why I was never really too concerned about the strength thing, because it's also really useful in athletics, and there are some edge actions and grappling that all rely on strength. And you're kind of screwed if you get grappled. But yeah, I guess that's pretty niche.
Something that I thought was really, really cool. There are also some new wild die actions that are in this book. So, like reckless tactics. Sometimes you may want to tackle a gamble when you roll the dice. When you are headed into a negotiation or have an ace argument, or maybe based off a little bit of exaggerated risk, you can add a wild die to your next test as a minor action. Just whenever. As a minor action, I want to add a wild die.
So it's not even just like weapons anymore. It's actually like social.
And it could be social situations, stealth situations, anything. You
That's
could just
adding a dice.
add.
It's not even replacing a dice.
Correct. Add a wild die.
So it's like that's interesting.
Right, which you can give
Using
option
that
of.
rule?
Yeah. Any rule in here, if anyone really wants to use it, we can go ahead and I'll make probably a more detailed list of optional rules that we'll be using.
That's my next question was how many of these optional rules are we going to be implementing?
Like there's also spell adjustment. On any spell adjustment, amp up, increase area, you may try to squeeze a little extra out of the spell, but the effort could backfire. By spending a minor action, you can add to roll a wild die to their sorcery test.
That's interesting. I like that.
My
Makes things
favorite
more
one is untrained skill. If you don't have if you're not trained in a skill, you can attempt it with a minor action, and you add a wild die to that skill check. So it could
My-
work like amazingly. Like out of blue, you got super lucky it worked, or you could cause something to explode because you don't know what you're doing. You were trying it.
I think it only costs 1 or 2 edge to use a skill untrained without the penalty.
Yep.
We're forgetting like the biggest change, the defense rating, damage reduction.
Yes, the new armor rule. I forgot. I was actually getting there. I was looking through all the new stuff, but there is a new armor rule. Spoiler: we will be playing with because it only makes sense. Do you have it pulled up
Actually, I've
already?
got a little gripe about it, but
Do you have it pulled up already, or
yeah, I do.
okay? Go ahead and read it off and give us your little bit gripe with it.
All right. After resisting damage, convert 1 box of physical damage to stun for every 8 full points of damage resistance you have. So, and all armor gives you damage resistance.
Right.
I think it's what, body plus reaction plus armor. I don't know. So this allows your damage. What's it called?
Damage
resistance. Defense rating, not
Defense
damage
rating.
resistance.
Gotcha.
It's
It's
DR.
like, there's
DR in the book.
you're not gonna take damage off. Like I had to buy fucking gel weave for that shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So for 8 full points of defense rating, you reduce the box. You convert 1 box of physical to stun. So that's it. You don't not take the damage. It's just now in a different track, which I think is really cool. Until I thought of stun weapons, tasers.
Yeah.
Tasers already do like 6 stun. And your defense rating would have nothing to do with stun damage
Right.
because it only converts physical to stun. So this just makes stun weapons even stronger.
It should go less because, like, if I'm wearing body armor and you shoot me with, like, if I'm wearing like plate, you know what I mean, like a steel plate, you shoot a taser at me, it's gonna go dink and bounce off, and I'll be like,
Right.
I don't care. Look. So it should also notch that down also to where after so many points of stun, it actually does nothing. Or
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, but there's a reason why they didn't do that in the first place. I don't remember. I think it was because they didn't. I think it goes all the way back to strength, doesn't it?
Yeah, it ended up going back to strength and why strength was so powerful in general, because it eventually, the way that it used to work, it was like, oh, well, my armor rating's so high that it all just becomes stun damage, and it doesn't matter that I'm hitting you with a blunt object. It's just literally I'm just going to knock you out from hitting you so much instead of killing you outright. But it's very, very interesting, and I'm very excited. It's at least a change in the right direction instead of, oh, you just get less edge. And now, because right now, like, a lot of people just run an armored vest, and that's like, what, like 6 defense rating at most for most people.
Yeah, I think I've got armored clothing is 4. 4 is like the middle of the not expensive, super expensive stuff.
Did you see that it also stops blast attacks, though? 1 point of
Yeah.
physical damage is converted to stun for every 4 boxes of damage resist. So, like, if you are getting hit with a grenade or something like that, you actually it's easier to absorb more damage, which I thought was really, really cool because it's more spread out.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I've got more gripes. You're spreading it out, so I guess it's not really a big deal. When you go 3 boxes into each track, you got the condition modifiers.
Right.
This is going to spread out the condition modifiers, but I guess that's better than being dead.
Right. I'd rather have a -2 to a dice roll
Yeah.
than just being dead from a grenade.
And my last gripe is your stun track is based off of your willpower, which isn't typically the highest in like high body.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're shooting a big troll with full of armor. You're converting your physical damage to stun, which is a shorter track for them, and they're closer to being knocked out because they have low willpower.
Right, which a lot of people like used to. They do have like no dodge, and they just stack body. They get cybernetic limbs that add body. They would go ahead and add just a high body in general, and they just soak it. instead
Yeah.
of having higher or better armor or something like that. That would cause it to, it would help their absorb roll back in 5th edition, but it wasn't so much armor that it then became stun damage. They're like, I don't need to dodge this. I'll just absorb the damage through the bullets, which I also thought was just ridiculous to see. Like, a firing squad just aim down a troll, but he's just like, I'm not purposely not going to dodge this because I can just have a better chance of soaking all the damage and not having any pain, which
Yeah.
I thought was insane.
What if
I
you
mean-
could choose which track you put it in?
I was gonna say that too, but at the same time, with this the soak, you have the comparison of like a grizzly bear. Like
Yeah.
I could mag dump a grizzly bear IRL, and that dude would be like, I'm still gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's just so weird to think of that in human reaction, like correlation. Which I mean, we
Well,
got
they're
to exactly. That's what I was saying. We have to because you could literally be Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Damage rating also doesn't necessarily
I mean,
correlate
that-
with getting hit, but it could also correlate with dodging hits.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean the same way they did Uncharted, where it was like, well, how is he surviving bullets? Or like, you're getting red because your luck is going down.
My
Yeah.
character I'm building has charismatic defense, so instead of body, I add charisma to
Soak
my
test.
defense rating. So
So weird.
I'm so charismatic, the bullets just move around me.
Guys about to pull the trigger, like, no, and he's like, and like kind of shakes a little bit and shoots it wide. He's like, he's starting to.
Oh wait, I give him a blue steel.
Right. Exactly. There was something else I thought was interesting. They have so many weird, like new rules. Not necessarily weird, but just new rules. That's insane. Like can't dodge bullets.
Oh, well, wait, that doesn't make sense because if you're getting attacked in melee combat, you want to block.
Right. Well, it's only literally for a range comp, like range. So in standard play, most attacks are opposed tests that grant a defense test. Under this option rule, any opposed test from an attack with is instead a simple test against a threshold. So like if you're getting shot, I just have to roll a threshold. You don't get a chance to dodge the bullet. I aim, you get hit.
Well, there's an action called dodge.
Right.
Is
Right.
it only when I use dodge?
Let's see. Even though attacks are not considered a post test under the target of the attack, may still use edge boost against attackers' dice if desired. The minimum threshold for any attack is 0, representing attack is a possible misbearing glitch. The threshold for an attack against a 0 if the target has no dice available. Yada yada yada. Every range band beyond close adds +1 to the threshold, capping out at +4 due to the extreme range. Any nets hits over the damage threshold modified, but like it looks in more of dodging increase the threshold by 1. Cover gives you a threshold increase per level of cover that you're in. Prone status increase threshold by 1 at medium or further ranges. So instead of like, oh, I'm just luckily dodging these bullets thanks to
Right.
a dodge skill, it now becomes a threshold that each person has to hit, which I think it can speed up combat, but at the same time it seems weird almost. But I mean, it feels like D&D at that point because you're hitting an armor class or a threshold that you're trying to hit compared to trying to dodge out of way someone's attack.
Yeah, but do those hits also go towards
Damage, yeah.
damage reduction?
Yep.
I mean, I never thought of like dodging in this game as like actually being like trigger pulled and you're like, like it's more like you're already moving out of the way or you're like kind of in cover and he just whiffed the shot. So it's less
Well-
of a dodge and more of like a.
There's
having
two.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's two anytime actions. One is dodge, and one is block. So if you get shot and you have a minor, you can dodge, and it adds your athletics test to the defense test.
Yep.
If you're getting hit in melee combat, you can block, and it adds your close combat to your defense test. And the only difference is in the text is for block. It says when you're attacked in close combat, you can use this. But in the dodge, it just says it doesn't specify the type of attack. It just says you can add athletics to any dodge test.
I don't know. I think it's just like semantics.
Yeah.
Because like I could kind of dodge a bullet if I can realize that somebody's like kind of really taking a beat on me and he's like really about to like aim, then like you gotta dive. You would obviously dodge before the trigger is ever pulled.
Right.
But
diving would be the take or the
yeah, hit the deck.
hit the dirt.
Hit the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
But-
that's what for blast attacks.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we do have a ton of optional rules that are available to us. Some that are more interesting than others. We have a bunch of different drone packs as well in this book. What else do we got going on here? Oh, another very big thing that's in this book: infectious diseases, vampires, zombies, all sorts of different strains of HMVV or whatever it's called, HMHVV.
Twilight disease.
HMHVV. I was right.
Human metavariant virus.
Human
HMVV.
metavariant vampiric virus. And it has, which I think is interesting, it shows what each strand changes the person into, because like only humans can become vampires. Fun fact. Technically, if a elf becomes a vampire, they become a wight or a harvester, which gives you different stat increases or karma costs depending on what you are or whatnot, and it gets you the different rules for being infected. They also have a rule set for becoming infected during play. Instead of the GM taking your character sheet, you now get rules to play how you want to as an infected person, which I always thought was cool, because I always hate the things where it's like, oh, well, something bad happened, so I just lose my character sheet now. I no longer play this character. It makes for really cool character moments, like with Mason and Konami, who took the plunge into vampirism because maybe this is better for us overall for fighting. Where if you guys would have made that decision, half of season 3 would have happened. Or would happen, just been very different for it. So that's something I thought was sort of needed, was the rules for that. So that way it's one less thing that you just don't lose your character sheet from.
It's another rule that we were like, this is probably a good idea. And then all of a sudden it showed up and we were like, they thought the same thing. Hell yeah.
There's a ton of rules in Shadowrun where the book is like, to the GM, this is here for your players to use, but you shouldn't let them.
You shouldn't let the players use that. But like for vampire, I think it's 30 karma or something like that. 27 karma if you're a human, and 37 if you are a non-human trying to become a vampire. Which is
It's not terrible.
No, and you get so I mean it's a good chunk, but at the same time, look how
Take a
strong
couple negative
freaking
qualities.
vampires
Yeah.
were. So like I don't know, practically immortal for 37 karma seems pretty good in my opinion.
They still
You
have
just
that,
take
like,
impaired.
that round restoration. Because I remember Josh would be like, yo, you got shot, you took 6 damage. You're like, I'll restore that next round.
Regeneration.
Um
Really?
It
So they
is.
fixed-
You gain 1 enhanced sense or immunity optional power for free. So there's an optional powers you can choose, and you get to choose one of them. So you get regeneration, immunity to toxins, increased hearing, smell, or thermographic vision, or misform. You instead of like how we house ruled it, you got all of those. You get one of those now, but you get +1 initiative die and +2 base movement rate speed, which is
I mean,
pretty cool.
the way my brain works, unless you physically told me I can't have regeneration, I'd be like, why the fuck would I ever choose any of those?
Well, I know there was one time where like Konami used Mistform to go underneath the door to open it from the other side, which was helpful.
Yeah. And then you kept putting fucking like vacuum suckers at every intersection.
Well,
And
you
we were
know,
like,
once you start learning what your runner teams are going up against and you become infamous enough, well, they have 2 vampires that can misform everywhere. I guess we should probably start installing these. Or, like, why wouldn't, like, the big corporations which you guys are starting to run against not have these already to get rid of toxins, to get rid of, like, smoke grenades or stuff like that? It would just happen to be, it sucks for you guys as vampires trying to misform in there.
well, then all of that, we were like, hey, we'd like to go inside this building. He's like, cool. They have UV lights beaming down the front door. And there was a few times where I was like, why? Why
Happy
would they
lights.
do that?
Yeah,
They're happy lights for their employees.
exactly.
I think there was one time where you put UV lights in a ventilation system, and I was like, "Come on!"
Keep the bugs out.
I do remember that, but that was because they were also which you guys never found out, but you guys weren't the first vampire runner group or vampires that attempted to get into that facility. So like
That stuff is actually pretty common.
Yeah.
The lights and that keeps insects out.
Insects out. It also stops from, like, if it's a humid area, stops it from like getting mildew and mold inside of it as well. Choice. Stops vampires from trying to come in.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main one, right?
Exactly.
That's why I put them in all my ducks.
Stop the vampires. And then with all of the new meta types and meta variants and sapients, there are also a ton of physical traits you can add to your character. You can add blubber to your character, dermal augmentations, glamour, gills.
It's the changing stuff.
Changeling stuff that also you can be a changeling now. But you can just sort of have these meta variants, like you could get surgery and gain this meta variant perk.
So is the blubber purely just for flotation?
Blubber. Thick layers of fat grants +1 edge bonus when resisting any cold-based attacks, and negates the chilled status.
All right. I hate the cold so much. I'd rather be surgically fat.
Exactly. You can
just gonna get a beak for 10 karma.
Yeah, exactly. It's all sorts of stuff that you can do. Rhino skin to get +3 defense rating. It's just all sorts of random stuff you can do. Magical senses, underwater vision,
Frog tongue,
bone spikes, all sorts.
prehensile tails.
Yep.
For the Starfinder fans out there.
Exactly.
But yeah, you can get like the Shiva arms for anybody. So like Shiva is one of the human variants.
You can get functional wings. You can get wings on any race now, which is terrifying to think of. Like a Sasquatch with wings sounds hilarious and terrifying all at the same time.
At what point are we just dragons?
I mean, you can be a dragon.
You can be a Drake.
You can be a Drake. That happened a couple books ago. It's a very big karma. I think it's like 40 or 60 karma, I think.
Are you forced into luxury lifestyle?
I don't think so.
It was pretty overpowered.
It's pretty strong. I'm not gonna lie. There's also quality paths, which are, qualities that have different stages, and once you gain through that stage, you get either a new perk or a new extra amount of karma, which I thought they were interesting. Like Donnie was saying earlier, you get new ways to use edge, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering if they added any new edge actions.
Let me
I'm sure they did.
Check.
Well, I asked a question Donnie doesn't remember.
Yes, new optional edge through and through. Requires APDS, caseless, or standard ammo. Increase the firearms DV by half, rounded up. But it costs body of the target an edge.
So is it?
So it doubles the
Is there
damage of the.
less damage?
It doubles the damage of your ammo because you're just going straight through. You're not getting stopped by armor or anything else. You're just going straight through the person. So
Well, no, that's through and through is better for the person. Like if you're gonna get shot IRL, you would
Right.
rather it be a through and through than to be lodged in your body. So it should have be. I could see higher damage rate. I would understand through and through if you were like trying to collapse. You're like, I'm playing through and through so I can hit the guy behind him too, but it's less damage to the guy in front.
What if you don't
I
have?
had to make a rule.
If you don't have caseless bullets and you need to recover that bullet shell,
Why would you recover the bullet shell?
they can't track you
That's-
from the. They
What is
track
that-
you
What does that have to do with through and through?
because if it's through and through, it's going to go through and you can get your bullet back. Right?
It's our what?
Say if the bullet gets lodged in,
you don't have to worry about tracking the bullet.
The forensics is going to find the bullet. And they'll be like,
you can't
I
track
know who
that
bought
bullet.
this bullet.
You have to track that bullet to the case by seeing if your gun shot the case.
That's why
There's
it's
no
caseless.
case. There's
good.
nothing to. Yeah, there's, if
All right,
there's nothing
whatever.
to.
Yeah, all right,
There's no way to forensic.
Either way, it
I
gets
was shooting
you.
with a slingshot.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're shooting with.
exactly. Increases damage of the ammo by half, rounded up, and the edge cost is equal to the body of the person you shot. So if you're shooting a 5-body orc, I want the extra damage, but it's going to cost you 5 points of edge.
I mean, I'm cool with the rule. I'm just again semantics. I don't like the fact they call it through and through because to me it sounds like a good thing for the victim. It's like I got a through and through. We're good. I just back a hole in it.
There's also shotgun choke, which is only that you are required to use flechette ammo. When using flechette ammo in a shotgun and firing at targets at closer range, you can widen the choke to perform a burst fire, wide burst. It only consumes 1 shell. Cost 2 edge.
Okay, all right. I mean, I'm assuming they must have some like futures. Do I have to physically buy to use? Is there a prerequisite to get a choke that is adjustable before I can use this?
Doesn't say. Silent takedown, a staple of covert actions. To perform a silent takedown, make a simple test using the weapon's relevant skill plus agility for the threshold of 4. If successful, the target's condition mark is completely filled.
Nice. That's
So I
fun.
can legit Splinter Cell people now.
We had knockout before, which seems kind of the same thing.
But this is now lethal. Literally just lethal knockout. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's completely. This edge action can only target grunts who are within melee range or are not aware of the attacker's presence at all. Simply being invisible or hidden from view does not necessarily permit a silent takedown. Edge costs equal to profession rating.
What if I'm a sniper with a suppressor?
Then it's probably not a silent takedown. Because it has to be melee only attack. It's a
Yeah.
Oh, it's
It's
melee. Okay,
yeah,
melee.
Yeah, called shot to the head.
yeah, exactly. That's what that is.
Right. Side note, you want to know something scary about the character I just made? All of the firearms that aren't rockets, even the miniguns, suppressors.
My
Love
character
Shadowrun.
has a really big Warhawk with a custom style, but he doesn't have any ranks in firearms. It's just for show.
Does it shoot blanks? Is it for like,
I
scaring
no,
people away?
I bought some bullets.
It's not gonna do anything. But
It's just for intimidation.
Whether via I think my favorite one is it's a dud with a blast attack, whether via manufacturing defect, a mechanical malfunction, or supernatural intervention by unknown forces. A blast weapon such as a grenade simply fails to detonate after it's delivered. Costs 5 edge.
So like, I can say it's a dud for like an enemy grenade.
Enemy grenade is
just came
thrown
at me?
at you. It lands right next to you. It's going to hurt. You use 5 points of edge. It's a dud.
Huh. It's odd that I get to choose it, but I mean, I like it. As a man who might get a grenade at his feet, I'll be happy that grenade that exists.
Exactly. But those are the 4 new edge actions that they added.
NPCs can use edge actions, right?
Yep. As long as they have edge.
It's a good thing I bought multiple grenades. They don't have that much edge.
That's true. They don't have.
Does that count for missiles?
Anything with a blast counts.
Okay, I'll just have to impale him with the missile. Then.
Exactly.
It's
Just
like if you're too close to the center to like hit the dirt.
They added some new healing rules, which were really cool. They also added a ton of new qualities, and I think they added some new items as well, new ammo. But yeah, some really cool qualities. Like they made it so if you're a cyborg, you can actually get healed now. Which I thought was very interesting. Instead of using your essence for, like, oh, your threshold is, 5 minus your essence on a first aid check, you now can use cyber biology, I think is what it's called. And you just...
BioWare?
let me look real quick, because it's going to bug me the crap out of me if I don't.
I wish it was just like an engineering or an electronics check. It'd be so much easier.
There's still some bio in there.
I don't repair that.
Where is... They also have a thing
That'd
where
be
you can
cool.
build your own qualities, which I think was pretty interesting.
It's another optional rule. To where if you're healing a cyborg, anything that's actually flesh, you have to use. So if Josh is like, you got shot in the head, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to need the doc for this. It's like, you got shot in the bicep, like, going to need the engineer for this.
Yeah. What was it called? More machine than metahuman. It's 5 karma. When you take this quality, your essence must be a 2 or lower. When first aid is performed on you, the biotech cyber technology skill is used in place of the biotech first aid skill. The threshold is equal to your essence. So instead of 5 minus your essence is the threshold, it is now just equal to your essence. You need a different skill for it, but
I mean, at the same time, if you know you're making a cyborg, you're probably going to go in there with that knowledge of like, hey, I should know how to repair myself.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. That could go the other way if you don't have very much. If you only have a few augmentations, so your essence is still pretty high. This would be better than 5 minus your essence.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do it unless it's you have less than 2 essence.
Yeah, you have to
can't,
have.
you can't even
I
get the
didn't see
quality.
that.
Yeah, you have to get 2 or less essence overall. But yeah, some other things like make it a lot easier to play a cyborg if you want to throw all your essence away.
Cyber junkie or cyber psychosis.
Yep.
Qualities. They added more addiction rules.
They did, which I think is very, very good.
They said they were going to in the core rulebook.
Yep.
We'll expand on these rules later.
I think my favorite negative quality is borrow time, and I think I was talking to JJ about this a little bit earlier. 25 karma. You have a condition that is going to inevitably cause your death. This may be a cortex bomb, insidious nanites, a rare disease, or even contract out on your life. At the beginning of every session, roll your body or willpower plus edge with a threshold of 1. After each session, increase the threshold by 1. You may use edge on this test. If you ever fail your test, you will die this session. Now, no matter if something is going to happen that is fatal, it is fatal. Murphy's Law is at its worst. No event occurred. If no event occurs this session, which would cause you to die, you will collapse and die at the end of the session. It'd be one that I would probably never allow a player to start with.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be very cool to give that as a negative thing, if something like critically glitch.
Yeah. Which is what a lot of these are for. Because you'd have to pay 50 karma to pay that off.
Yeah. And like, if you think about it, it's body or willpower plus edge.
Yeah.
What is that like?
And if you fail, you burn a point of edge.
You could choose to. Yeah, you can choose to burn a point of edge to live.
Accept that.
Yeah, or you can just accept I'm dying this session. Which I think would be a very, very cool. Almost, I wonder if it'd be better to not tell the player that they have borrowed time.
Well, yes. And you just roll for them?
I roll for them, or I tell you, hey, go ahead and roll your body plus edge.
Why?
Just roll it, because I said to.
I think it should be like a trivia murder party where we all get cursed at the beginning of a campaign, and we'll see if we can all survive by the end of it.
Right. Or it could be cool for like a one-off to see like everyone has borrowed time. Let's see how long your guys' characters survive.
Yeah.
Episode 7 is that one dude just staring at a corner like, oh, my friends are dead.
I'm at 49 karma.
Right. I got to survive just a little bit longer. Finally get that
Channel
50th
some
karma
shadow
and you
spirits.
die. Exactly.
You're walking into the hospital. Do you want $20? Please. I need karma.
And because I feel like they don't really do anything often with heat, it is very cool to see a couple of these qualities that are heat related, like bounty. If your personal heat is 17 or higher, bounty honeys decide to start closing in on you. I dig that.
You would have used it a while ago.
I would have used it so many times. But I don't think your guys' heat ever got that high up to 17. You guys did a lot of downtime action.
I mean, you qualified us as national terrorists, so there's probably at least 1 or 2 sessions where we could have qualified.
1 or 2, that is definitely for sure. But, Hardwire decided to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to make those issues go bye-bye.
Like real politics.
Exactly. Just shh. Other than that, Donnie, did you have anything else you want to say about this book before wrapping up for our?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, we could keep talking about everything, but
that's
hit all the big stuff.
I think so, and I think that we could literally just go on forever and never ever end.
I think I played it off pretty well for never rating it.
Could have fooled me. But guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Really do appreciate it. If you guys haven't already, and you guys play 6th edition, make sure you guys check out the 6th edition or 6th World Companion. A lot of really cool things to sort of fill the world a little bit more and help players. Because I know a big thing that they were trying to push with 6th edition is make it more new player friendly, and I feel like this, with some of it, makes it a little bit easier. Or just different ways beyond the priority table or whatnot. So thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. Really do appreciate it. We will see you guys tomorrow with some Starfinder, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the channel. And we have a very, very big surprise for tomorrow. So make sure you guys are here. It'll be a good time. Have a good one, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.